Okay, so today our lesson is going to be chapter 8, lesson 10, and this is mixed numbers. We learned about mixed numbers for our last lesson, so mixed numbers, and our new vocab word for today, improper fractions. And a room there, but that says fractions. So we know what a mixed number is. It's when it has a whole part, a whole number, and a fraction part. So now we must learn about what is an improper fraction. So an improper fraction, this is your vocab term, an improper fraction has a numerator that is greater than or equal to its denominator. So that is what an improper fraction is. An example of an improper fraction would be, let's say, 11 over 4. The numerator is greater than the denominator 4. Another one would be 3 over 2. The 3 is the numerator and it is greater than the 2. So these are examples of improper fractions. Well, what is the relationship between a mixed number and an improper fraction? So that's where the star comes for today's lesson. The reason why we're talking about mixed numbers and improper fractions together is because mixed numbers can be written as improper fractions. So yes, we have our mixed numbers, and they can sometimes be written as improper fractions. Depending on the example or depending on the instructions, some things might ask you to write a mixed number and improper fraction for the model, or some might ask you to put this mixed number into an improper fraction. So let's look at our first example. So, first example would be write 1 and 3 over 8 as an improper fraction. Right now, it is currently a mixed number. So we want to write it as an improper fraction. So the first thing that we're going to do, you can either draw a model or you can just write it out. So we're going to write 1 and 3 over 8 as the sum of the whole number and the fraction part. So what I mean by that, and don't forget when you say sum, you do that by adding. So if I look at my fraction portion, what it is really telling me is, this is what we were doing yesterday, where we were writing them out with the equation. So 1 and 3 over 8 equals 1 plus the 3 over the 8. That's what, when you were breaking it apart on the assignment, that's what we were doing. But how did they get that one? Well, they got that by having a whole number. So 1 and 3/8, the 1, if I look here, I know that there's 8 parts to it. So 8 over 8 was giving you that whole 1. That is where that is coming from. They got the whole number from the mixed number from it being 8 over 8. Remember, when the numerator and denominator match, it makes the whole number. The 8 was the denominator. So then I've turned the whole number into the fraction part. So then 8 over 8 plus the 3 over 8. So from there, what I'm going to do is then add these. Remember, because we're writing it as an improper fraction, you will keep the denominators the same. So you're not going to add 8 plus 8. You're going to keep the denominator as 8 and only add the numerators. So 8 plus 3 is 11. And then your denominator would be 8. So your improper fraction of 1 and 3 over 8 would be 11 over 8. So that's one way, an example is how you can write a mixed number as an improper fraction. I'm going to give you another example now of if you got a model first and then they asked you how to write it. So let's go over this. So your example would be write a mixed number and an improper fraction for the shaded model. So it's asking you for two things. It's asking you for a mixed number and an improper fraction. So I have my circle. I have 4 parts to this circle. So 1, 2, 3, 4. All parts of this are shaded. Then I go to my second model. It has 4 parts as well, equal parts of 4. Then 3 parts of this are circled, or shaded, I mean. So then if I'm going to write my mixed number, remember it's the whole part and the fraction part. So the mixed number would be, there's 4 parts, so that's my denominator. There's 4 shaded, so 4 over 4. That would give me the 1 whole. Then I look here at this. There's 4 parts here, but there's only 3 shaded. So I have my denominator of 4, and then I have the 3 parts shaded. So that's the fraction part. This is the 1 whole, which is the 4 over 4 becomes the 1 whole. And then here's my fraction part for the mixed number for the other shaded circle. So that's how I did the mixed number. Now I'm going to do the improper fraction for this. So the improper fraction, it doesn't have a whole number part and a fraction part. The improper fraction is the entire fraction, so it only has the numerator and the denominator. So you turn this, instead of it being the 1 whole, we keep it as the fraction that it is. So yes, it is 4 over 4, but then you do not change it to the 1 whole because only the mixed number has the whole numbers. In improper fractions, it's only the numerator and the denominator, and the numerator is greater or equal to the denominator. So that's why I keep it as the 4 over 4. Then I look at the second shaded model. That would be the 3 over 4 because there's 3 parts shaded and it's also 4 parts for the denominator. Remember, when the improper fraction, you add them and you are only adding the denominator or only adding the numerator. The denominator stays as 4 because there's only 4 parts to each of the models. So you only add the numerator. 4 plus 3 is 7. And then you keep the denominator the same as 4. So the improper fraction for this model would be 7 over 4. And the mixed number would be 1 and 3 over 4. The big difference between the mixed number and the improper fraction is that the mixed number has a whole number part and a fraction part. The improper fraction has no whole number part. It's only the one fraction, and the numerator is always going to be greater than or equal to the denominator. So there is no whole number part of the improper fraction. That's why we kept it the 4 over 4 and did not change it into the 1 like we did for the mixed number. So mixed number and improper fractions go hand in hand because without one, you can do the other, vice versa. You can do one, you need the information for both. So that is mixed numbers and improper fractions.